Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chump Change. This is live and recorded, and I hope there's no hiccups in the stream because YouTube is being very strange this morning. It's weird. HiveOS crashed yesterday and a few other things. I guess Trade Ogre's down too, you guys are saying in the chat, so I apologize for being late, but I can't even get into like the back half of YouTube right now. So hopefully everything's coming through okay. If there's any issues, let me know in the chat. But anyways, let's see who's here, and then we'll go from there. Actually, real quick, before, if anybody here is new, what we do is typically go over crypto news in the space. I update myself, bring you guys along for the ride. Now let's see who's here in the chat. Mr. Black Hat Team, good to see you. Nick K, Andrew Masad, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for being here. Nick K, Vinny, good to see you. Ted, Mr. Max Voltage, my man, appreciate you. Dan, is that Dan the Dane again? Dan the Dane, my man. Thank you for the DJ screaming first thing. Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for being here, man. Let's see who else. Sustainable Crypto, Duke Nukem, Athanos, good to see you, buddy. I don't know, I think I butchered that, I apologize. I need my COD, Solar Miner, Ovalbore Tech, as always, my man. Appreciate you. All right, let's get into this, guys, see what we're looking like today. Over here, Bitcoin 70,125. If that didn't just change, I was gonna refresh because I'm like nervous everything is crashed now at this point. We have Ethereum at 35.46. Let's see, look at this, LTC up over $100. Hell yeah, perfect. Look at that, 8% today. Max, look at this, take a picture, buddy. Take a picture, little buddy. LTC 8% and Caspa's only 1%. Looks like you are winning the bet with DJ this morning. ETC up $34.40, 6.85%. Holy shit, that's awesome. XRP, a little late to the party, but I guess better late than never. It's getting there. 63 cents. I don't know if that's actually getting there or not, but that's is what it is. Let's see. We have Whiff. Is this the dog Whiff hat? Is that one? $3.65. Damn. How is it that expensive? That's crazy. That is crazy. 17% up today. And why is it not in the meme coin section? Mr. Dan the Dane, my man. Thank you so much for the super chat. You're awesome. The 89, what is that? 89 DKK. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much. You're awesome. Yeah, Whiff's doing crazy, huh? That's insane. All right, let's see. Let's move over to Crypto Bubbles. We're going to see what else is going on over here. We have Whiff again. It was the correct Whiff apparently on the day. 20.3%. Look at this, ranked 39th. Wow, that's crazy. That's really crazy, actually. We have Celestia up 10.9% at $15.29. We have LTC at up 7.7% to $103. That's crazy. ETC is up 6.6% to $34.78. You guys know that this means the L7 is probably kicking ass. Any Litecoin, Dogecoin miner is probably kicking ass right now, as well as these ETC miners. I would assume the Jazz miners and such. So that's pretty awesome. Mr. Midwest Mining, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for being here. We have Floki down 6.5% today. It's been a lot of stupid, man, like people on YouTube. It's crazy how much they'll pump these shit coins just to pump their own bags. It's wild. But I've seen a lot of stuff about Floki the last couple days. It's not shocking that it's down 6.5%. It's really not that much, but it's just, I don't know, it's annoying. It's annoying seeing that. Dan the Dane, thank you so much for the 89 DKK again. You're awesome, buddy. We have BTT BitTorrent up 9% today to rank 69th. The price is down here. It's decimals. It's in the decimals. Let's see. Caspa again up 1.4%. We have BSV up 7.5% on the day at exactly $100. This is Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. I'm shocked that coin's still alive, to be honest. Let's see. Maker $3,512. What? That coin is expensive. Look at that. It's up 3.2% today. Crazy. All right, nothing else really jumping out at me. Actually, Filecoin 6.3%, $9.67. Interesting. All right, flashbang, here we go. Fear and Greed Index looking like a 79. Honestly, it's really not that bad. That could be worse. It could be much worse. But again, over 75, obviously we got to be somewhat conservative when you're jumping into new things, right? Because crypto, you lose all your money split second. just be careful, be fearful when people are greedy, greedy when people are fearful. That's pretty much the way it goes. But I think this bull run's kind of crazy, a little different than other times. Let's refresh this page real quick. All right, trending coins look to be Gala, Soul Casino token, whatever that is, and Strike X. I don't know if anybody's into these tokens, but Strike X is up 9% today. Interesting. It's at 9 cents. All right, top 10 coins over here on CoinGecko. By CoinMarketCap, we have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, XRP, Lotto Staked Ether, USDC, Dogecoin, and Cardano. Chump with hoodie. That would be hysterical. Andrew Masad, go ahead, there you go, make it, because I am always wearing a hoodie. That's a riot. Anyways, Cardano I still think is a pretty decent buy, still at only 65 cents. Again, I don't care if you guys do or don't, but I've been showing this the last couple days just because I do think it's a good buy. Just because looking at like the all-time chart, I'll show it in a second. All-time high has been, it went up to $3.09, right? We're at 65 cents as of right now. You look at the max chart, last bull, like the bull run of 2017, bull run of 2021. I mean, each time it has a higher spike, and it looks like higher lows, as you can see right here. So I don't know, Cardano might have a good a nice pump. I mean, it'd be an easy 5-6x if it does the same thing at least, right? So take it as you will. Feel free to follow that or don't. I don't care. It's not financial advice. We have LTC is killing it in 22nd place, but nonetheless over $100. That's freaking awesome. Ethereum Classic, I'm glad it's doing well, $34. I think Ethereum Classic is another one that's kind of sleeping giant. When the Ethereum ETFs come out, I think we're going to see some push on this one just from the narrative alone with the name Ethereum, right? It's not even because of any fundamentals or anything behind it, right? This was the original Ethereum, if anybody doesn't know, but realistically, just because the ETFs and the names in it, people are going to see it on Coinbase, be like, oh, why don't I buy this one? It's cheaper, right? So it's going to happen. It's called dumb money. I was dumb money once. I get it. I did that exact thing. Why is this one so expensive? Why is this one so cheap? I'm going to buy this one, right? $167 is the what's it called, the all-time high for this one, right? So let's go over here again. Let's see, 2017 bull run, same thing, right? 2021 bull run. So we've had, it's literally the same thing as Cardano. Every time we have an altcoin season, bull market comes, we have an explosion. So this, I mean, listen, this could be a 5x as well. So is what it is. Dan the Dane, my man. Appreciate you for the 169 DKK. I'm gonna look that up. What did you guys say that was? DKK? I don't even know what that is. Thank you so much, though. You're awesome, dude. I appreciate you. You are the best. Keeping the stream alive. Appreciate it, buddy. All right, let's see. Any...
Hadouken!
How did I just get muted? God, where did I get muted? How did that happen? Dude, what is going on with the internet today? What is going on with the internet today? Anyways, what'd you guys hear last? I'm gonna start over. You guys hear me now, I know that. Son of a bitch. This whole stream, I don't know what is going on today. This is crazy. Anyways, we're gonna start over. You guys know I like to timestamp this stuff at the time of recording. See what the most profitable miner is. We have the Antminer KS5 Pro, 21 terahash unit, making $149 a day. Mr. Midwest Mining, thank you for the $5 super chat. Let me see what you said over here, actually. He said, Chump, thanks for bringing us the daily news. This is the reason I get up so damn early to catch you. Always great info, bud. Dude, appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. All right. The Bitmain KS520 terahash unit making $141 a day. Pretty good. Mr. Dan the Dan, you are going to go broke today, sir. You are going to go broke on this stream. Thank you so much for the 169 DKK. You're awesome, dude. I owe you. I'm still not muted, right? All right. I'm like scared to touch my Go XLR now because I feel like it's going to mute me. Anyways, we have the, let's see, Windminer K9 at $68 and the BMKS Max at $70 a day. We have the KS3 from Ice River, 8 terahash unit making $51.98. We have the KS3M 6 terahash unit making $36.59. Not too bad. This Alpha Packs, look at this, the DG1 11 gigahash unit. This is the Doge and Litecoin miner. I'm assuming it's a merge miner. It just shows Litecoin, but should have a Dogecoin logo here too. We are making $24.86 a day. That's insane. I mean, the wattage on this thing though sucks. That's my opinion. That just sucks. Because if you look at, I mean, my low power mode on this one is like 20 something. I think it's 2600 watts if I'm not mistaken, and it does pretty good. It does like 8. Maybe it does less. I forget. I haven't played with it in a while. Mine's down at Terra hosting right now, paying 10 cents kilowatt hour. If you guys are interested, links are in the description. We have Bitmain Antminer L79050 making almost $20 a day. This machine is over 3 years old, almost making $20 a day. Miss Pocket Change, you in the chat. My wife is trolling me. You know it's a bad day when your wife trolls you in the chat. It's time for a Red Bull. God damn it. Anyways, 3-year-old unit. Isn't that wild to see it making almost $20 a day still? Isn't that crazy? Tell me that ain't crazy. Weird, right? Anyways, K7's been killing it. I think our man DJ Mines is getting rid of his. If you guys are interested in it, go hit him up. $17.28 a day. Look at that. This is the 63.5 terahash unit. I'm not sure which one he's got, but it's either that or the 58 terahash. Either way, it's making over $15 a day. Pretty awesome. We have the Ice River KS2 2 terahash unit making $12.04 a day. The Bitmain S19K Pro, again, still most profitable on Digibyte. This is a Bitcoin miner. It's $7.37 a day. That's crazy. That's awesome, man. I really got I got to debate if I want to swap over to Digibyte. I just want to stack Bitcoin though. You know what? Is there a pool that you can mine Digibyte and auto convert to Bitcoin? Does anybody know? Does anybody know? Mr. Crypto KJ, the alert's gonna go off in a second. Thank you for the $2 super chat. He let me see. He said we need HR to fix the internet. Shiz be broke AF, dude. It's seriously messed up since yesterday. Everything in the internet's been like weird. We have the Ice River KS1 1 terahash unit making $6 a day. Again, this is all at 10 cents kilowatt hour. If you guys get your stuff hosted, that's pretty much what you're paying, or maybe a little less depending on where you go. But yeah, anyways, let's see. Scrolling down, the Ice River Caspa KS0 Pro. I'm supposed to be getting the Caspa commemorative edition, actually. Again, Crypto KJ, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm supposed to be getting that one today, I think. I don't know, DHL's slacking hard on getting this thing delivered, but either way, it makes $1.25 a day. They're much cheaper than they were. 566 bucks. I think they were like 350. Let me see. Ice River. Just quick, because I want to see. Oh yeah, they have 350. Yeah, so their prices are a bit high. But just be wary if you guys buy these. I have a link in the description below. They do come with a little Caspa logo on the front, which is kind of cool. I can't wait to see it. But what's it called? If you guys get more than like $600 worth, so if you're gonna buy them individually. That's kind of what I'm saying, so you don't get hit with taxes, like tariffs and bullshit. All right, if you go over 600 bucks, you get hit with tariffs, and you gotta pay it before they deliver it to your house, like once it gets to the shipping facility. So just do it separately, like a day in between if you're gonna buy more. That's just my opinion, but do what you want. Do what you want. I'm just here to give you some info. All right, Caspa KS0, the original 65 watt unit, is only making 60 cents a day. Again, that goes down with the price of Caspa, is what it is. Again, if you guys are interested in ASICs, Terra hashes, actually. This is an all-in site, by the way, so you won't get hit with tariffs on this one. But like companies like Ice River, you will, unfortunately. They're straight from China. They price everything here with prices all in straight to your door, so you don't have to worry about going to deal with tariffs and pay like, you know, thousands of dollars to get these things delivered once they get the shipping facility. So check it out, links in the description if you guys are interested. All right, GPUs, let's see what the most profitable coin is here. Looking at Gram and Husat, I think, right? That's the HTN Husat. We have the 7900 XTX on Clore, a little bit, not too bad. And Conflux here. Up, Nexus peeking through on the 3090 Ti. Everything else seems to be yeah, Clore, Gram, HTN, which is what is it called? Hootensat. Wait, what did I call it? Husat. I said Hootensat. Husat coin. And yeah. All right, nothing's really changed. Same shit. Let's see if there's any new coins quick. Mining pool stats.stream. Looks like Vixel still is top of the charts here. You know what I noticed? They actually throw coins in that were put out like before these other ones. I feel like this date hasn't changed. It's weird. Anyways, C Music AI. I don't know what this is. Kapow coin. Anokis. I don't know if that's new. 12 days old. Anyways, nothing really crazy. All right, guys, let's get into this. Former FTX investor weighs in on SBF's sentencing, rather, FTX and crypto outlook. Let's see what they got to say over here on CNBC television. Guys, that like button, appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it.
Well, let's talk more about this with former investor in FTX and FTX US. Joining us now is Tribe Capital co-founder and CIO Arjun Sethi. So much to talk.
It looks like he just got over crying because he only got 25 years. Awful. Dan the Dane, thank you very much for the 17 DKK. It's going to go off in the middle of this, but I'll say thank you now.
To you about. It's so good to have you on the show. Welcome.
I wonder how much money this guy lost. He really looks upset, to be honest.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so I do want to start here, but we have a lot to get to, as I mentioned. And so I think back to having a conversation with you in November of 2022 as FTX was filing for bankruptcy. Just want to get your thoughts on this sentencing today and what it means in terms of closing a chapter for the cryptocurrency industry, which you have invested in over the years, as we've not only gone through this, but we've gone through the regulatory framework. We've gone through Bitcoin ETFs getting approved. We've gone through a crypto winter and out the other end of it. I guess just mark this moment for me and what it means for this industry.
Yeah, I think if you take a step back on crypto and what it means for the industry is that you've had a difference between centralized exchanges, centralized finance, and decentralized finance and exchanges and what's been happening there. And I think, this is like a blip in the radar of what you see for FTX. There was, a bunch of other companies that had sort of been bad actors. I think the definition of bad actors can happen across any industry. And what you've seen with cryptos is become more resilient. It's changed pace at a faster and faster momentum for the investors that are retail, institutional, not just here in the United States, but all over the world. So I think, it's good that we're able to close this chapter, move forward. But, the industry has just continued to become stronger and stronger through this momentum.
Okay. In the meantime, since the last time you and I spoke, you've started a new company, Termina, which has been spun out of Tribe. Walk me through this business model. Subscription-based AI software platform for, quote, quantitative diligence. What does that mean, and why take what sounds like proprietary technology and capability and offer it to others?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that's really important to sort of take note of is what's happening with AI, generative AI, et cetera, and what's a commodity and what's not. So if you take a step back, where is data coming from? How do you use it? That's essentially how we've always structured our firm. And our firm is incubated, built, and invested in multiple companies in the ecosystem that have been proprietary data of deployment, foundational models, as well as the storage of the capabilities. And so one of the things that we've done over time is said, okay, there's a process that we know that works very, very well, but the data is proprietary. And our data is proprietary, is one of the largest proprietary data sets of private companies, not just in the United States, but worldwide. And it's across crypto, it's across public markets, and it's across private markets. And so Termina has been essentially the culmination of not just my life's work, but my team's. And now we're able to leverage that data to make people more successful.
Arjun, do you think we're going to get a moment of AI disillusionment. We seem to have gotten very quickly from excitement to hype, and even the web, the .com cycle went through this trough of disillusionment when Amazon was cheap and people were saying everything was overdone before the real business set in. You think that's going to happen with AI?
Look, during the late 90s, people would write the .com into their disclosures. They'd put it into their website if they had a website, but they would call themselves a .com company. And so you had an abundance of capital coming into that market for any company. And so people would lose money. You'd have someone come up with a napkin idea and then go public. I think the difference today is kind of twofold. One is a lot of these companies have real revenue. They're scaling at a fast pace. You're seeing a lot of traditional industries adopt software, machine learning, AI, AGI, all in one. So costs become more efficient. Your people are more efficient. You're able to do more with less folks around the table, and you're able to sort of deliver these massive customer experiences at the speed that we haven't seen before. So Klarna, a company that's planning to go public at some point, had disclosed that they had done a significant 80% reduction in costs in their customer service. When you think about all of these aspects of what you can to augment or save costs, it's going to be a big deal.
Interesting. Do you guys see this?
Reduction.
I'm just gonna pause it. Dow and S&P closed at record highs yesterday. Interesting. S&P 500 22nd record close in 2024. Huh. Neat. All right. Anyway, shout out to CNBC for that. Let's move on to Bloomberg Television. What does the SBF sentencing send to the others facing crypto trials? Actually, let's see what they got to say over here on Bloomberg. Guys, that like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Hey, to ask what YouTube makes me.
You cover crypto regulation from Washington, D.C. How do you think this sentencing, 25 years and forfeiting $11 billion, will reverberate throughout the community?
Oh, yes, $11 billion. Is that the stuff that's in FTX, though? He should have to forfeit it. They act like that's a big deal. Did he get fined on top of that, or is that just the money in FTX? Does anybody know?
What message does it send to those right now who are facing charges?
So, I think from the perspective of legislation and regulation, the extent of these crimes has already been well known, right? So there have been actions after 2022. There was sort of an uptick in enforcement actions. We saw some activity on the Hill and writing new rules. Obviously nothing that's been enacted, but there was there were a lot of hearings being had. So I don't think it changes things from that perspective. But I think what it does send is a warning shot to other individuals who have been charged criminally in the U.S. I'm thinking of, Do Kwon, for instance, from Terraform Labs. So I think that what the message they should take away from this is that, they will be held accountable and, the sentence could be severe.
David.
Hold on. So we got $11.2 billion fine on top of 25 years in jail. So he got a fine on top of whatever he lost in FTX. Dude, I'm having problem paying back 11 million. Forget about 11 billion. Like, just die in jail. There's no point in even coming out. Like, what are you gonna work for? How do you pay back 11 billion dollars? What? That's crazy.
We're focusing on the 25 years in prison, which obviously is a huge part of the sentence. But another part of the sentence is forfeiting $11 billion. What do we know about the money that Sam Bankman-Fried has access to right now and that part of what the judge said?
I think this is a great mystery, and it's also something that was kind of dealt with as folly in the sentencing memo that we got from the defense. They kind of said that this would be superfluous to have a seizure or forfeiture of this size, just in light of what's happened here. It's a great mystery, sort of who's paying for Sam Bankman-Fried's legal counsel. He's switched legal teams. All of this is very expensive. We don't really have a whole lot of insight into his finances currently. And part of today's hearing centered on this pre-sentencing report, which included presumably a lot of financial information to which we have no insight. It's not going to be made public. But yeah, I would say that the attitude that we have seen from the defense is that this is another blow to the defendant, to Sam Bankman-Fried. But again, his circumstances are kind of opaque, and it's unlikely that he would be able to come up with this kind of money now, of course.
And Allison, before we let you go, of course, it seems like the defense is really trying to paint Sam Bankman-Fried as really this kind-hearted math nerd who didn't have malicious intent. It seems as though that really didn't hold a lot of water with the judge, though.
No, the judge was very clear that these were serious crimes. He called out the fact that Bankman-Fried didn't really admit or acknowledge actually committing crimes. While he did feel contrite about the losses that people have faced, he put a lot of blame on the bankruptcy estate and how that's been handled. And so it was clear that that didn't play very well with the judge. Also, what didn't seem to play well was the fact that, you know, he and his defense were continuing to say that FTX was solvent when it filed for bankruptcy in November 2022, or that, you know, the bankruptcy estate from the recovery process is recouping enough money so that there aren't going to be any losses. You know, he definitely pushed back against that idea and the fact that, you know, there's not any loss or harm to these victims. And it was something that we also saw from the victim who took the stand as well.
Destruction in the chat said, many billionaires are in that much debt. Difference is if you owe the bank 110K, you can't sleep at night. If you owe the bank $11 billion, they can't sleep at night. That's actually kind of a good point. That's crazy though. That's crazy. Like, how do you expect somebody to pay that back? It's kind of like the national debt. It's just like the clock's gonna keep going up and it's never gonna catch up. Never gonna get paid back. Anyways, all right. CNBC television. Let's get over here. Sam Bankman-Fried sentenced 25 years for FTX fraud. I actually have two clips here, so when they switch into the interview with the lawyers and stuff, I'm gonna jump to the full video over. Is that it? No, it's. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. We're gonna watch the full interview over here. It's like 15 minutes. All right, let's do it.
Today, Sam Bankman-Fried is sentenced to more than 2 decades in prison, and we speak to 2 legal experts for analysis on his sentence and what it means for the crypto industry at large.
Yeah, ETC's killing it, Andrew. $35.
Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Mackenzie Sigalos. Outside the courthouse where Sam Bankman-Fried was just sentenced over the multi-billion-dollar fraud that he oversaw at FTX. We'll talk all about that in just a bit, but first, let's take a quick look at crypto markets. By noon Eastern, Bitcoin rose back to the $71,000 mark, Ether climbed to $35.78, and Solana jumped to $187. Okay, let's jump right to the sentencing of Sam Bankman-Fried. Southern District of New York Judge Lewis Kaplan sentenced the disgraced FTX executive to 25 years in prison out of a maximum 110 years for the massive fraud and conspiracy that led to the collapse of FTX.
I hope they show the sketch of him in court. Oh my God, there was a meme yesterday. Who the hell sent it? It was in my VIP. Somebody put it in there. It said, who else thinks that the sketch artist should be sentenced with Sam Bankman-Fried? Because it was like the worst sketch you've ever seen in your entire life.
Judge Kaplan said SBF had perjured himself on the stand and argued that it's not a trivial risk that he will commit more crimes in the future. He added that in his 30 years as a judge, he's not seen a performance quite like this one from Sam Bankman-Fried in October, which included evading certain questions while on the stand during his trial. Bankman-Fried took the stand once again today, delivering a winding apology statement saying that he had made bad decisions that haunt him every day. He claimed responsibility for what happened and said that he was sorry.
All right, at least they're getting into him now. I just opened Discord in case.
That customers were deprived of their cryptocurrency gains. Attorneys for Bankman-Fried were seeking a sentence of 5 to 6.5 years, citing medical conditions, including autism, and that harm to customers.
Here it is. Hold on. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut him off. Look, raise your hand if you think Sam Bankman-Fried's sketch artist should be sentenced too. Look at this. Oh, it's terrible. It's like hiring that lady that pretended to know sign language and she was just like doing things with her hands and nobody knew.
Customers would be zero thanks to the bankruptcy process. However, FTX CEO John Ray told the judge last week that creditors would never be fully recovered and called the estate a, quote, metaphorical dumpster fire. Prosecutors were seeking 40 to 50 years in prison, saying that their suggested sentence was appropriate given the extraordinary dimensions of SBF's crimes. Today, Judge Kaplan rejected the entirety of Bankman-Fried's argument that there was no loss at FTX, calling that claim misleading, logically flawed, and speculative. Kaplan presided over Bankman-Fried's trial, which ended in November when a jury found him guilty of 7 counts and held him responsible for the roughly $10 billion of customer deposits that went missing in 2022. SBF's parents didn't speak to reporters as they left the courthouse post-sentencing, but shortly thereafter, a family spokesperson issued a statement saying that they're heartbroken and will continue to fight for their son.
She has this hairdo. That's funny.
Bankman-Fried is expected to appeal today's decision, but his attorney declined to answer reporter questions. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams issued a statement on the sentencing, saying that as a result of his unprecedented fraud, Bankman-Fried faces 25 years in prison, forfeiture of over $1 billion, and restitution to his victims. Today's sentence will prevent the defendant from ever again committing fraud and is an important message to others who might be tempted to engage in financial crimes that justice will be swift and the consequences will be severe.
All right, I fixed sustainable crypto in the chat. Sorry, buddy, my wife hit you by accident.
Now for some analysis on the sentencing and what it means for the crypto industry at large. Crypto World's Talia Kaplan spoke with Paul Tuchman, a former federal prosecutor and lawyer at Wiggin and Dana, along with Zach Shapiro from the crypto-focused law firm Reigns.
All right, let me jump over to the actual full interview. Here it is, guys. That like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it.
Joining us now is Paul Tuchman, a former federal prosecutor and current partner at Wiggin and Dana, as well as Zach Shapiro, managing partner at the crypto-focused law firm Reigns. Thank you both very much for joining us.
Thank you, and good afternoon.
Thanks so much for having me again.
So, Paul, you're a former federal prosecutor with experience prosecuting and defending fraud investigations here in New York. You served as an assistant U.S. attorney for the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York for more than a decade. So, given your experience, I want to start off by asking, what do you think about Sam Bankman-Fried's sentence? Were you expecting 25 years? His lawyers were seeking a sentence of 5 to 6.5 years. Prosecutors were seeking 40 to 50 years. So are you surprised that Judge Kaplan sentenced Bankman-Fried to 25 years in prison, given that represents a pretty significant departure from what prosecutors were seeking?
Yes, frankly, I am a little bit surprised based upon the demeanor and the rulings that Judge Kaplan made during the trial, as well as the arguments the prosecutors made. That Judge Kaplan, both during the trial, but then also during the sentencing proceeding today, generally agreed with the prosecutors on in terms of the nature of the seriousness of SBF's conduct, the loss amount, the fact that he perjured himself, Judge Kaplan found during the course of his testimony at trial. In light of all of those findings that Judge Kaplan made, I frankly found it a little surprising that the sentence was not at least a bit higher. Certainly not necessarily the 40 to 50 years that the prosecutors were seeking, but 25 years was on the low end of what I was expecting going into the sentencing hearing today. And then particularly, as I said, after Judge Kaplan reached those findings about the perjury and about the loss amount.
So, Paul, expanding on that, today Bankman-Fried took the stand and had a remorseful tone, quite the contrast from his testimony during his trial. Bankman-Fried claimed responsibility for the collapse of FTX and said he was sorry that customers were deprived of their crypto gains. So do you think those comments on the stand today played into his sentence at all? It's important to note, though, that this morning, Judge Kaplan increased the sentencing guidelines range for Bankman-Fried to a maximum possible sentence of 110 years after finding that he had committed perjury at his trial and knowingly obstructed justice. So it sounded from the get-go that he wasn't going to be lenient.
It did sound that way. And I don't think that the statements that Bankman-Fried made during his sentencing necessarily were part of the reason why he got what I would expect, a lower sentence than I expected to see him get. Certainly, on the one hand, he did express, I don't know if I would want to call it remorse, but he did express regret and sort of sadness for his colleagues.
Yeah, it was more like he's sad for everybody that he hurt, close to him. Not so much like about the money being gone and stuff, which is crazy. The real question to me is, what happened to that chick, Caroline Ellison, or whatever the hell her name is? That Alameda chick? What happened to her? Is she going to see any jail time? Or is she just like scot-free? Like, you're all set. It's messed up to me. Like, they should both be in jail. 1,000%. Should not just be him. It should be both of them. And whoever else is involved should get a little bit. I know they all flipped on him, but like, come on.
At
It's crazy.
FTX, as well as to the investors, or not so much the investors, but the depositors who lost money. Certainly, he said that he was sad that they lost money, and in some way, it seemed that he acknowledged some kind of responsibility for the fact that they did lose money. But at the same time, importantly, because he has an appeal pending, and therefore anything he says today that indicates that he actually agrees that he did commit a crime. He's continuing to maintain his innocence through the appeal process. And if he was to win an appeal, any admissions that he makes in the course of the sentencing proceeding could be used against him at a future trial. And so for that reason, he didn't fully, I would say, and I think Judge Kaplan agreed in the remarks that I saw quoted, didn't really agree that or believe that SBF had truly been remorseful. And in fact, one of the things that Judge Kaplan said when imposing sentence was that he had a real concern that Bankman-Fried, whenever he concluded his sentence, was in fact a danger to commit another crime like this in the future. And certainly if the statements that SBF made at sentencing to the judge, certainly if those had been successful in the goal of truly showing remorse, then I certainly don't think Judge Kaplan would have reached that conclusion during the sentencing hearing today.
So, Zach, what's your reaction to Bankman-Fried's sentence? Today, Judge Kaplan rejected SBF's argument that there was no loss at FTX, calling the claim misleading, logically flawed, and speculative. Based on everything that happened in the courtroom today, were you expecting 25 years? And do you think the victims will think this sentence is appropriate and fair?
Yeah, thanks. I think 25 years is pretty close to what I would have expected. I would have maybe even expected a little bit lower. The way federal sentencing works in criminal cases is judges have to start by calculating a guidelines-based sentence using an elaborate formula. Those guidelines used to be mandatory in terms of what judges had to sentence people for. Now it's just a starting point. But when you deal with crimes that have big numbers involved, whether that's a large quantity of drugs or in this case a large amount of money that's gone missing, the end output of those guidelines tends to be a really large number. And so it's not surprising the judge would do a downward departure from the guidelines calculation. And that really puts the sentence into a question of what would the judge, Judge Kaplan's case, think is fair. And we're talking about a white collar crime here, right? A bad white collar crime, a really big white collar crime, a brazen one. But if you look at murder sentences in gang trials in the Southern District of New York, those are often in the 20 to 25 year range. And so I'm not surprised that Sam Bankman-Fried didn't get a 40 or 50 year sentence. I do think that his and his lawyer's performance today were pretty bad. His lawyer, Mark Buchesi, really painted him as sort of a hero of some sort, called him a beautiful puzzle, pointed out his veganism, called him, he read like a Talmudic scholar. And I think that really maybe missed the point in terms of how much damage he caused. Of course, there were losses. The fact that the FTX made some lucky venture investments that were able to make creditors whole as of the bankruptcy, notably not in crypto terms, but in the bankruptcy terms, I don't think absolved him of any of the crimes. The fact that he seems to have perjured himself on the stand also certainly didn't help. And the fact that when Sam testified himself today, he was more focused on the facts of what happened than showing contrition to the victims, I think also didn't help. So I think 25 years is a harsh sentence. I think it was in the expected range, but I think that this is just. And what I hope is, I think a lot of the crypto community was skeptical of what sentence he would get. They thought he might get an unreasonably low, maybe below 10-year sentence, and that justice wouldn't be done. And, there were frankly a lot of conspiracy theories about that. And I think that
he can still get out early, right? Like there was no like ineligible for parole, like things, right? On him or against him when he went to jail. So, I mean, I'm assuming he's going to be eligible for parole at some point. Let's see real quick. Someone in the chat, Ted said she took a plea deal, talking about Caroline Ellison. She took a plea deal. So after he's done, they will say what she got, and the other guy, give it a month or two, and the feds may be going after more people too. Oh, that's crazy. I bet.
It's good to show the crypto community that justice does work, at least in this case.
You are, in fact, a crypto-focused attorney. So in what ways do you see this case being a template for the crypto space at large? U.S. Attorney Damian Williams issued a statement saying that today's sentence sends an important message to others who might be tempted to engage in financial crimes that consequences will be severe. Do you think that message will resonate with those thinking of defrauding crypto investors from here on out?
Yeah, I think so. Last time we spoke about this, I mentioned that I think this is really more a story about old school fraud than it is about crypto itself. I think there's one way in which that's not true, which is that the crypto community, I think, has to learn this lesson every couple of years, that the whole ideal behind crypto is creating open source, trustless systems where you can see, using a blockchain or similar tool, where funds are, what the mechanisms are to secure funds, and who has permissions to move those funds. And that obviously doesn't work when you just trust a third party, in this case, FTX. But there are other examples, famously Mt. Gox in the early days of crypto, one of the early Bitcoin exchanges. When you trust someone with your crypto assets, they can move it, right? And we're talking about digital bearer instruments that are easily stolen. So I think, insofar as this is an important lesson to the broader crypto community, maybe it's less towards the people who would commit fraud. I mean, I think this is no different than any other large criminal case in that respect. But for crypto investors, the people who are the depositors who lost money in this case, to really think about who do you trust to, if anyone, do you trust your cryptocurrency with? Is it better to self-custody or use a collaborative custody model for cryptocurrency, or to use sort of more quote unquote trustless tools on the blockchain to hold your digital assets?
Question in the chat. I'm gonna put a poll up. Actually, I want to know if you guys has it affected you watching FTX crumble? If you were in it then, right? Has it affected you keeping money on an exchange at all? I mean, I know it's never good to keep money on the exchange, but it's easier to, I guess, get in and out instead of having to like send it back and forth to like a cold storage back to, your exchange. So I want to know what you guys are doing. Are you guys like nervous now to keep anything on, say, Coinbase or Binance or any of those kind of platforms? Let me know. I'm gonna put a poll up.
So Paul, what happens next? You touched on this, but SBF is expected to appeal today's decision. What do you think will happen with that appeal, and what steps are involved?
Well, the next step actually is that within the next couple of months, presumably, SBF, who has been living at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn ever since he was remanded after the judge found that he violated the terms of his bond before the trial, he's going to be designated to a federal detention facility somewhere in the United States. And Judge Kaplan recommended today that he go to a medium security facility, or something less secure than that. Doesn't seem to have concerns about SBF, engaging in violence or in trying to escape. As one may have heard, there are federal prison camps in the federal prison system, which are known as Club Fed. And those are sort of the most desirable, of course, places for federal inmates. However, it doesn't look like that SBF is going to be eligible to serve his sentence there, at least not for a bit, because generally the rule is that you can't serve your time there until you have 10 years or less remaining on your sentence. So instead, he's going to go to something closer to a real prison, whether it's medium security or at least low security. In the meantime, his lawyers are going to put together an appeal. On the one hand, there was an overwhelming amount of evidence. I think most observers agree that was introduced by the government at the trial that will make it quite difficult to show that there was an insufficient amount of evidence to convict. And similarly, the theories that the government prosecuted the case on were not particularly novel or cutting edge. It was actually, despite the large amount of losses and the extent of the fraud, a relatively simple case. And so I don't think there's too much concern about legal issues. I think the main concern, or the main likely to be the main avenue of appeal, or the main arguments on appeal, will be that Judge Kaplan ruled before trial that Bankman-Fried could not put on a number of aspects of the defense that he wanted to mount in terms of calling certain kinds of expert witnesses, in terms of certain things he wanted to testify about himself, with respect to various aspects of, for example, the terms of service that FTX had. And so there were certain things, if he wanted to, and he made motions about being able to mount in his defense, and the Judge Kaplan denied that. So I think that's likely to be the biggest point that they'll raise. In the meantime, one other thing that I wanted to mention when we talk about the sentence is that, in fact, while 25 years certainly is a long time, SBF starts out like all federal inmates with a 15% good time credit, which he could lose if he does not engage in good behavior while he's in prison. But even if you give him that 15% time off for good behavior, you get down to around a little more than 21 years. And then with the Federal First Step Act, which was enacted in 2018, white-collar defendants and convicts like him have the opportunity to earn significantly more good time credit, certainly at least another year, perhaps off his sentence, then a significant amount where he could actually serve a significant number of years of his sentence on home confinement. So I think that's another thing just to keep in mind when we think about the severity of the sentence. 25 years is a long time, but it is certainly possible that a good chunk of that sentence will be served at home.
And Zach, how has crypto sentiment changed in terms of legal compliance since a jury found Bankman-Fried guilty of all 7 criminal counts against him back in November? Have you noticed that crypto companies have been working to be more compliant since then?
Look, I think most crypto companies were not in danger of violating the law in the same way that Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX did, right? That I think is just an outright fraud. The 2 major regulatory issues in crypto right now that companies are working their best to comply with, the biggest one is around securities law compliance and the offer and sale of tokens, either a primary sale from issuers or a secondary sale on exchanges like Coinbase and Binance. Do those constitute investment contracts or securities offerings in a way that gives the SEC jurisdiction? And there are 3 major civil cases going on right now directly about that question, in addition to the Ripple case. That is the 800-pound gorilla in the room of crypto. And I think, certainly all of my clients, and I think most crypto companies out there, really would love to comply with the securities laws insofar as that's possible. I think, unfortunately, the SEC is a little bit playing hide the ball with where the contours of what an investment contract is or isn't in the case of digital assets. So certainly companies are trying to comply, but they're also trying to get wins in court. And I think with the Ripple decision, and we'll see what happens in the Coinbase case, but maybe they will get some of that clarity from federal courts they're not getting from the SEC. And then there's also efforts, of course, on the lobbying front and the policy front to get new laws passed that create, I think, more rational rules that apply to digital assets. So the other main question is, where is the line between peer-to-peer code, right, and a decentralized exchange where it is 2 people exchanging assets, one between another, using code as an intermediary, and a financial institution, right? At what point does a decentralized exchange, does a protocol get regulated like a company? And that's, I think, a really gray area. The technology that those rules would apply to is constantly changing. We got one nice ruling yesterday in the Coinbase case where the SEC's claimed that Coinbase was acting as a brokerage through its wallet, which essentially was just a front end that allowed users to access decentralized exchanges and DeFi protocols. That was dismissed by the court. I think that's a great sign about where we might be headed on DeFi regulation. But I think regulation in the crypto space and compliance in the crypto space is really much more about these questions, the sort of money service business versus peer-to-peer protocol, and the, is a token a commodity or an investment contract security? That's much more where the action is than, are people going to perpetuate the type of massive fraud we saw Sam Bankman-Fried do?
Zach Shapiro and Paul Tuchman, thank you both very much for joining us.
Shout out to CNBC Crypto World for that. There's a piece of that, but that was the full interview over there. Kind of interesting. I really do wonder what's going to happen with that Alameda chick. Anyways, let's move on to videos. This is Anthony Pompliano over at their what is the Bitcoin Investor Day, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, at Bitcoin Investor Day in New York. So let's see. Billionaire reveals why Bitcoin keeps going up. Real quick before we do that, I'm going to kill this poll in the chat. I said, did FTX ruin your trust? Let's see. I will leave some on exchanges, 43% of you. Self-custody is 100% of you. Self-custody 100% is 40% of you. All on exchanges is 9%. Really? 9% of you guys have all of your money on an exchange? That's kind of concerning, actually. You shouldn't do that. Don't do that. Take some off, please. Because like there's wallets, like you can get the Phantom wallet. It's a free app on your phone. Please don't connect it to anything if you're going to get it. Trust wallet, I think you could swap inside that now. You can buy a Tangent wallet, which is like a semi-cold wallet. I would call it like a warm storage, not cold, not hot, but it's a hardware wallet, and use your phone to access it. Go check out the links in the description if you're interested. Please don't. There's many options out there. You don't need to keep all of your stuff on the exchanges. And then 50% of you guys, I leave 50% on the exchanges, says 6% of you guys. So That's crazy. Anyways, all right, guys, let's get into this. Mr. Anthony Pompliano over here. Let's do it.
We have Mike Novogratz. He's upset that I made him sit on the sidelines for 5 minutes while I did that little talk. But Mike is the founder and CEO of Galaxy. They have a very big business, publicly traded company in Canada, hopefully to be publicly traded in the U.S. soon. I'm excited to talk to Mike. So, Mike, come on up.
Sustainable says, oh, sorry, Sloth Squash says 9% arch rolls. Yeah, I bet people are probably just clicking it.
Good morning, everybody.
He's like the poster child for Bitcoin. Him, Michael Saylor. There's a few of them.
Place to start our conversation is you've been investing for a while. You have a lot of experience. You have traded currencies. You've traded macro. You've traded, I'm going to guess, almost every asset class in the world. You've been very early to Bitcoin and crypto. Today, what are the similarities to some of the other things that you've seen in terms of allocating to this asset? And why spend so much time building an asset management firm and kind of Galaxy in the form that it is, rather than sit at home with your Bitcoin and just watch the price go up?
That's a great question. Let me get to the first one. Listen, Bitcoin is a macro asset. Like, what got me into Bitcoin in 2013 when it was trading at 98 bucks was somebody called me and said, look into this thing. And I was like, macro asset. And I was a macro trader. At that point, the story was inflation was coming, right? We had 2012, the European financial crises, and everybody was worried about inflation. It's funny how the consensus can be wrong sometimes. Paul Singer, anyone who knows Paul Singer, he might be one of the greatest investors of the last 30 years. Runs Elliott Advisors. Tough son of a bitch. He took an ad out in the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times wanting Ben Bernanke, the chairman of the Fed, to go to jail for what he was doing with QE2. Not kidding. And it was signed by 50 really intelligent people. They were so worried about inflation. And so that's why I thought, oh, you buy a Bitcoin, it's got an inflation hedge. China was buying it. There were a lot of people that had lost faith in governments, right, post-financial crises. And so I was like, macro asset, buy some. And I remember looking at the chart and saying, this thing's going to go to 1,000. And sure enough, it went to 1,000. Matter of fact, I was on the cover of the FT, the only time I've ever been on the cover of the Financial Times. When I was at a conference like this, I didn't know the press was there. And I said, Bitcoin's going to go up because this, and this, it's going to go to 1,000. And August 2013, you can find it. There I am. And then it went all the way back down. But I got hooked with this idea that, and you talked about this, it was the first asset that started from the little people, right? It wasn't an institutional asset where at the end the taxi cab driver buys it and it's time to sell. It was a global revolution, and it was the first global asset, right? In 2017, when we had that great bubble, that was fun, right? It was more of an Ethereum-led ICO, Bitcoin to 20,000. I remember saying over and over, like, this is the people's revolution, right? Mr. and Mrs. Watanabe in Japan, Mr. and Mrs. Kim in Korea, people in India, in Africa, in Nigeria.
Those are patches on his jacket. What is happening? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut him off, but I didn't know what the hell. What are all these?
All over the place participating. There are no global markets, really, right? Gold is a global market. But in the 1999 tech bubble, that was a US bubble, right? There was a few people that participated in outside, but broadly Japanese people buy Japanese bonds, right? And so here's the first global asset. And it was, people driven. And so I started this way, way early, this tagline, the herd is coming. And, boy, did I feel silly for years. I was talking about the institutional herd, right? I was one of the first institutional guys, me, Dan Moorhead. There were a few of us to start telling the Bitcoin story to institutions. And most of them just said, oh, that's really interesting, close. A few intrepid, you guys had Fairfax County, got in early, but very few institutions did. And so I look back, if I made a mistake in my Bitcoin journey, it was probably building an institutional business when I should have started with retail, because it really was the people's business. Let me answer the second question. why did I start a damn company instead of just be a fund manager or manage my own money? Because it's so much easier to manage your own money. You own Bitcoin, Ethereum. I think the way you stay young in life is work with young people and learn new things. And while I'd been a macro investor my whole life, I wasn't a venture investor. I'd made a couple venture investments. And you can't be in crypto without being venture, right? Pomp has become a great venture investor from being kind of a, media celebrity. Now he's a better venture investor than he is a media celebrity, right? Crypto is about venture and macro. It's this weird hybrid. So I got to learn a new business venture, and I got to work with young people. And my third box I needed to check to go back into the arena was that I needed to think I had something to add. And, Wall Street beats you up and wrings you out and slaps you in the face over 25 years, but you'd like to think you gained some wisdom. And most of the crypto community was young, at times naive, full of big ideas, sometimes silly. And I thought I had some role to play at trying to bring some wisdom to this community and trying to get the older, stodgy crypto institutional community to understand it. And so it checked all my boxes.
So the herd is
real quick before you starts talking. DJ, shout out to you. Thank you for letting us know. Antminer S21 Pro newly launched. This is 2 hours ago. 234 terahashes, 15 joules per terahash or something. How do you say that? Joules per, I thought it was, I don't know what I think this was. How do you pronounce this? J/T, what is that? Isn't it joules? I thought it was per hash or something. I don't know. Anyways,
it's coming.
Let me know in the chat.
I think now we
Finally.
can say the herd is here. Talk a little bit as to institutions that are actually participating in the space. Obviously, ETFs are a big part of the conversation, but how do you think about what institutions have done so far, and what should we expect them to do over the next couple of years?
Yeah, listen, we should all give Larry Fink a standing ovation. And there was a whole army of people that orange pilled him. One day someone will write the book, The Orange Pilling of Larry Fink. Right, he was a Bitcoin skeptic, and he realized, wait a minute, these guys aren't crazy. That is the process of how Bitcoin evolves. Every one of you has a responsibility in some way to do what you can for the community. Like, all I can do is sell in life. And so my responsibility has not been coding, it's been selling, trying to convince people why this makes sense. Larry has a far bigger platform than I'll ever have. And, I thank the guys that got him to see. I think that's staggeringly important. BlackRock's the largest asset manager in the world. He's one of the most recognized thinkers.
But it is joules per terahash. Thank you, Carlco. That's what I thought. I don't know why I thought different while I was saying it.
It's now not just Bitcoin and the ETF, right? They announced this week they're filing with the SEC to do a tokenized digital assets fund. So what are they going to tokenize? I mean, Larry said it. They're going to try to tokenize money market funds. And, well, that would be revolutionary, right? Think about it right now. Stablecoins don't pay interest. The dollar doesn't pay interest. Anyone have a dollar in your pocket? No interest. Put it in a bank, it makes 5.5%. Well, actually, put it in a bank at JP Morgan, it makes 0. But you can get 5.5% in a money market fund, but in your pocket, it makes 0. So if we can start tokenizing, I don't think they'll get that through, but that's what they're going to push. And so you're going to see, not in the next 3 months, but in the next 3 years, assets get tokenized, minority stakes in sports teams, funds, real estate maybe. And so I would tell you that every bank, every big bank has teams working like crazy on this idea because they're scared. If we move to a tokenized world, Goldman Sachs better be in it, Citibank better be in it, Bank of New York better be in it, State Street better be in it. And so there's a lot of activity in institutions around that piece. There's a lot of activity around, okay, Bitcoin's here, the ETF is here. It had a greater start than any ETF in history by a quantum. I tweeted this, the American people just voted, right? They voted, they like crypto, they like Bitcoin, they like digital assets. And so bank CEOs, bank boards, Congress has to take note.
So you've had some tussles on the regulatory front. You sometimes tweet some things and I say, okay. You also like to talk about politics. So how does Bitcoin fit into those two conversations, right? In terms of the regulatory conversation, you all are in Canada. I think that you'd like to come to the US. What's stopping that? And then how does Bitcoin play into an election year where politicians, some seem very excited about it, but others feel, the people on the internet are stupid?
Yeah, that's a good question. I should tweet less.
That's true for all of us.
There's this interesting tension. The crypto community is young and fun and full of memes, and so you want to participate in it. And when you run a regulated company, you got to be very careful because the amount of scrutiny that Galaxy and I'm sure Coinbase and everyone else gets is 4x what we got when we were hedge funds.
He's not wrong.
And so even participating in meme coins, I don't as much as I'd want to, because I just fear if I tweet, God, I love dog with hat like Arthur Hayes does, I will literally be investigated 2 days later by the CFTC. And so we hold ourselves to a different standard, and we've learned that as the process goes. And I'm not knocking Arthur. I love the guy, and I love dog with hat, just the spirit of it.
If Elon starts talking about that, man, I don't know. Dude, that coin's too expensive. And everything's already out in the market. If you guys didn't know that, all of those coins are already distributed. So I don't know.
Bitcoin
Be careful.
Got through the gauntlet. It is now a non-asset. It doesn't need to be regulated by the SEC.
Perfect.
Perfect.
And so anything associated with Bitcoin, like Bitcoin miners trade publicly, and you can still get through the SEC if you just do Bitcoin. It appears Gensler and his SEC has drawn the line with Ethereum. And
if anybody's really interested in getting dog with hat, what I've noticed anyways, the easiest way to do it is to have Phantom Wallet. Phantom Wallet is beyond the best wallet for the Solana ecosystem and meme coins, at least in my opinion. I don't know. Take that as you will. You guys can literally just swap Solana for whatever the hell you want. It works amazing, and it's a free app. So whatever, just please don't link it to anything and save your seed phrase. Be careful, yada, yada.
It's a little ironic. He spoke about Ethereum at a conference Galaxy hosted 4 or 5 months before he took the job at the SEC, when he specifically said it is not a security, right? Since he's been there, and this is my supposition, I don't know if it's true, I think if you allow Ethereum to not be a security, it's a slippery slope. What does that mean for Cardano or Polkadot or any one of the other, level 2s or side chains or base chains or
Real quick, Crypto Scotty said, why would you not want 100% distribution? Well, the fact that 100% of it's out, that just means that the people that created it have way more than you think in their pockets, and they can dump on you at any second. So that's the real fear with those kind of coins, and that's why meme coins go to zero in 2 seconds.
What is the test if you let one? And so it feels they've drawn this line between proof of work and proof of stake, and I don't think that changes until the SEC changes. I think the SEC will change no matter who wins the election, Democrats or Republicans.
And you know what? I take it back. You can do it also. You can swap for dog with hat if you really want it, or Solana-based meme coins on Tangem as well. There's a swapping feature. You know what? I got to do a video about that. I'll probably do it this weekend. I did a recording of me swapping some USDT for Caspa, and I just show how fast it is. And then I did some Hedera, and I also swapped for Cardano. I did a couple different videos, screen recording, actually swap before and how fast it was. So Tangem's awesome for that too, but if you want the free option, again, Phantom is probably the best for the Solana ecosystem stuff and swapping inside the wallet. But yeah, Tangem's absolutely great too.
If it's a Republican, I think you'll get much faster pro crypto changes than if it's a Democrat. The Democratic thing, and I'm a Democrat, I raise my hand, has driven me insane, because I've been going to DC a lot. Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, the guys that run the House and the Senate for the Democrats. Sorry about that.
Can't swap for whiff via tangent. Yes, you can. I just checked. I'll show you. And did you know there's like a feature, by the way? You can, hold on. You can like just kind of tip your phone down and it does like the dots, like the stars. It won't show anybody. Yeah, all you got to do, because whiff is a Solana based coin, you can just add it to your wallet. You know what I mean? And actually, you know what? Let me see. You could still be right. I could be wrong. Let me just double check and make sure I can swap for it. So I don't have any Solana in this wallet. No, he might be right actually. Hold on, let me see. Where is it? Manage tokens. Why is it not on here? Oh shit! I need my card. Oh no, I don't. There we go. Hold on. Solana network. Actually, you know what? It's grayed out. You might be right. So you can't. You can hold it on your tangent, but I guess you cannot swap it as of right now. That things might change, but who knows? I'll try it later. I'll see if I can do it later.
That's Gary Gensler calling.
Definitely Phantom. What the hell? What did we just miss on?
Democrat, I raised my hand, has driven me insane because I've been going to D.C. a lot. Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, the guys that run the House and the Senate for the Democrats. Sorry about that.
That's Gary Gensler calling him right now.
God damn it, Gensler! These guys want bipartisan legislation. They see crypto as bipartisan. It is bipartisan. But a small faction, right? Elizabeth Warren, Sherrod Brown, unfortunately, has kind of gotten on her bandwagon. It feels like people in the White House, Lil Brainerd, have broadly, certainly Gary, have broadly said, we don't like crypto. And in DC, small factions can hold up the whole process. And I think the Democrats are getting the message I just said. The American people have just voted, and they voted Bitcoin, right? When you're in politics, you've got to be careful that you don't get so tied up on what you want versus what is. And so this is going to be a losing issue for Democrats. There are a bunch of PACs that have been formed, crypto PACs, that are putting money against vulnerable Democratic senators. The Democrats understand that and see that happening. And so it won't surprise me to see them pivot to at least a more neutral stance. So I think we get legislation, but it's an unbelievably frustrating. Last year has been frustrating. I think this year will be frustrating until the election.
So as someone who's traded macro assets for a long time, you pay a lot of attention to what the Fed's doing, global liquidity, interest rates, many other aspects that go into that analysis. Are the institutions looking at some of those same drivers, or do you think the institutions are basically saying, okay, we now want to allocate to Bitcoin, they're going to allocate, and those allocations are persistent regardless of the macro environment?
Today's episode is... Holy shit, that was loud. Dan, hold on. Hold on. Sorry. Dan just donated some crypto through this, hold on one second. Didn't mean to cut them off. I gotta skip past this ad that he's playing, actually. Anyways, let me see. Hold on. Dan, what did you just send me? Let me just make sure I'm not like hallucinating. Did you just send me like 2 Solana? Am I wrong? Dan, I don't know why my alert didn't go off, but dude, thank you. If that's what you just did, I don't know where the hell the receiving is on my stuff, but you're insane. Thank you. I really appreciate that, dude. That's awesome. Thank you so much. You guys want to see the alert, what the alert should be. I don't know why the alert doesn't work for the donations part of it, but I don't know how Randy Hipper got it to work, by the way. But this is it. I'll do a test donation so you can see it. It's hysterical. This is what's supposed to play. This dude's screaming over Bitcoin. Dan, thank you very much for the Solana. If you seriously just said what I think you said, I got to double check, but man, you're insane. Thank you so much.
Free for 12 months, and you get $1,500 for every referral. A.com/Pong.
Listen, so Bitcoin has and always has had, and probably always will have, 2 vectors that drives price.
Dude, Dan, thank you. He just said he did. Dude, you're insane. Thank you so much, man.
Jesus, Schmeezus.
That was Elizabeth Warren.
Someone heard me. The two vectors have always
That was Elizabeth Warren, he says.
been macro, right?
Oh, I love Pomp.
Why
So funny.
Bitcoin, right? And so that's the same broad story as gold, silver, other hard assets, and adoption. So right now, adoption's way overwhelming because we've just tapped into, so here are the numbers. There's $84 trillion of wealth, owned by US baby boomers. Baby boomers are broadly 60 to 80 years old. They are entering into their die-off phase. They broadly invest through registered investment advisors. You call your broker at, Dean Witter or Morgan Stanley or AJ Edwards and say, hey, what's my portfolio? Put a little bit here. That is the ETF process, and it has just started. And so,
real quick, I do have to say thank you to Dan R. You're killing me. You're insane. Thank you so much, dude. You sent 2 Solana. You're crazy. I don't know why the alert didn't work. I apologize, but thank you so much, dude. You're insane.
Early
That means
big
a lot.
adoption.
Thank
A lot
you.
of the smaller platform regional brokers have been buying, but a lot of the big platforms like Morgan Stanley, and they're still not selling yet. They're going to. They're getting prepared to. You can buy it on their platform, but the salesmen aren't selling it. And one thing I learned about Bitcoin, it's always sold, it's not bought. Somebody sits down and explains it to you, right? What's the macro story of Bitcoin? It's relatively simple. Our government can't keep its pants on and is spending too much money. And when you spend more money than you take in, you depreciate your currency. And that went from a problem in the early 2000s, 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, to a crisis with Donald Trump, right? And then Joe Biden. Trump and Biden will go down as the 2 presidents who destroyed our fiscal stability, right? Trump raised government spending a ton before COVID. And then when COVID happened, it was, let the dogs out. Biden came in and said, now I've got this cover to run my progressive agenda that helped me get elected. And I'm doubly panicking on the COVID, relief. And so we went from, and this is a little nuanced, but it's important to understand. We went from a government that believed at our core that the federal government is allowed to spend 20% of GDP every year, and we try to tax 20%. My first job in life was working at the Office of Management and Budget under Ronald Reagan, 1984. And I learned that. You tax 20, you spend 20. We did it 1 year, 1999 with Bill Clinton. Since I've been post-college, the budget has been balanced 1 year in America, right? But we got close, 2% deficit, 3% deficit. We're now running structural 5, 6, 7% deficits in a good economy, right? Keynesian economics says you're supposed to run deficits in a bad economy and run surpluses in a good economy. We've normalized spending 25% of GDP on federal government. That's this year's budget, next year's budget, the following year's budget. That happened like this. It happened between Trump and Biden, and that's insane. If you take the Congressional Budget Office's predictions, which are always rosy, right? They always are more optimistic than they should be. In 25 years, it has debt to GDP at 250%. Like, that is a recipe for housing prices going higher, Bitcoin going higher, gold going higher, silver going higher. And until you see a government, both Dems and Republicans, that say enough, we are going to go back to a Simpson-Bowles balanced budget amendment. We are going to cut spending from 25% back to 18 or 19%. Bitcoin is going to keep going higher.
What about countries that are adopting Bitcoin? We've seen El Salvador, they're taking custody of their Bitcoin. They've got 5,000 something Bitcoin. Argentina, we now have somebody who's stepping in, who's slashing, spending and trying to really economically revamp the country. Is that stuff, one, going to work? And two, do you see some of these countries actually going on to like a Bitcoin standard?
I don't think they'll go on a Bitcoin standard, but I think they'll buy Bitcoin. Listen, if the whole world blows up, you never know what comes next. I go to bed every night and I pray the whole world doesn't blow up. I actually, quite frankly, would rather have Bitcoin go up slowly than go to 1 million overnight, because it would make us all wealthier. We would lose civil society. Like, you can't have wealth shifts like that without revolution. And so what's happening in places, look at the Nigerian currency. When you get back to your computer, look at the Nigerian currency the last week, right? So you have people that lose half their wealth. And so in places with terrible stewardship of economies, Bitcoin should be a human right or some store of value, right? Most people would still rather have the dollar. And so it's insane that our government hasn't propagated a dollar-based stablecoin. I mean, we do with Tether, right? Tether is the global dollar-based stablecoin. USDC is a more regulated version of Tether. But the US government should be helping, because if you're in Nigeria, we'd rather, as a US government, have them buy dollars than Bitcoin, right? We are so obsessed with who might be buying our currency than the fact that we've got the largest deficits in the history of the world to finance. Like, we should let every Russian who wants to buy our currency, fund our debt. And so I think this is a geopolitical mistake in stablecoins, but you're going to see a lot of activity around this, because, again, Argentina said our currency went to hell in a handbasket. We got to do something. So you've got this new right-wing president who says, okay, we're going to, ban the central bank, and we're going to go on, in essence, a hard money standard.
My last question is around Galaxy. You guys have built a pretty big business. Seems like things are quite successful. You just announced $10 billion in assets under management for your asset management business. You're in Canada. I know that there has been a lot of talk online that the company trades at a lower book value. Talk a little bit as to how you think about the business. How do you guys make money? Canada versus US markets.
So caveat, we have earnings on Monday. And so I got to be a little careful what I say. Like, our business feels great. And the institutions are finally coming in partnerships, in activity, and so when I look at the forward roadmap, we have an amazing roadmap. Our challenge, of course, is now to go execute it, right? We have 3 basic business lines. One is infrastructure. We've got a big Bitcoin mine down in Texas, 200 megawatts, 5 exahash, with a lot of growth potential. It's probably the best piece of dirt in Texas when it comes to Bitcoin mining. And we mine Bitcoin cheaper than anybody. That's partly because of our power trading, partly because of our location, and partly because of our cost. And so, great, check. If that was a public company in the US, it would trade like CLSK or Marathon or Riot, at a 4 or 5 times book. Our stock trades, somewhere between book and 1.3 times book, depending on the day. We are building out a staking business very quickly. We're going to make some announcements soon, but that business is growing really fast. And I think there's a synergy with that business and some of the other businesses that we have, right? Your trading businesses, Galaxy wants to be the group that covers both people in the institutional world and the big crypto players. So you go to a protocol and you offer them staking and market making as a service, and then asset management, and you become their partner. Our trading, what traditionally our markets business, which is sales, trading, derivatives, we are one of the biggest derivative players. There's a level you get to in total derivatives where you have to become a registered derivative player. There's a The bad news is it's pretty costly. It's a Gensler tax in terms of compliance. The good news is you've gotten there, and there's a barrier to entry for the rest of the people. And so our derivative business has gotten there. It's our best business in sales and trading. We've got a big lending business, and our prime business is finally getting up and running, and that's going to be growing really quickly. And so those are the businesses that feel like what Goldman Sachs used to feel like to sales and trading in crypto. But at the same time, we're building the on-chain capabilities because we see that's where the future is coming. And so we've got a big on-chain effort going on right now. That's both lending and on-chain, it's trading on-chain. And so that's where I see a lot of the next year optimism coming. And then in asset management, we just announced we've got $10 billion under assets. That's partly because assets have gone up, partly because we've done a lot of this bankruptcy work for FTX and others. And so, you know, it's close to 500 or 450 people on our way to 600. I feel like it's an undervalued franchise. We are patient. People give me shit on Twitter all day long about, you know, he said he was going to go to the NASDAQ and he never did. I was like, do you think that was our choice? Right? We have an SEC that has not allowed companies that deal with anything other than Bitcoin, you know, through the process. And that's not Galaxy specific. There's Bullish, there's eToro, there's plenty of companies that we're trying to get through. And so, listen, we are engaged with them all the time. We're engaged with all the regulators. We want to be public, but we'll see.
Leave us with your price prediction for this bull market.
Well, you know, I was on CNBC last week and they asked me where we're going. I said, listen, you know, I think you got to be careful. You've had a huge run. Markets rarely take out 3-year highs that are 300% up and just keep going straight through, right? They correct. And I said, well, maybe you could go to 53,000. Now I think I jinxed us. So I apologize. It feels like 53, 55 should be the floor. We're at 62 now. I hope 60 is the floor, and it's going to take some time before we take out that 73 again. I really do believe that within 12 months, we're significantly higher. You know, when you have a whole new world starting to buy, you go into price discovery. And so I can draw a line and say, like, listen, 100 was my target because it felt like a good round number. How do I even think about Bitcoin conceptually? I think of gold, right? Market cap of gold is 13 trillion, right? Market cap of Bitcoin right now at 65,000 times 2 is what, 1.4 trillion? So we're like 1/10 of gold. Could we be 20% of gold in 2 years? Of course we could.
That would be sick.
Right?
20% of gold.
What I say earlier, 85 trillion of wealth in the United States between 60 and 80 years old. As they die, that money goes to younger people who are much more comfortable with buying dog with hat or
For
Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana.
Real quick, shout out to Solar Miner in the chat. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships, dude. You're awesome. We have Turtle Tech, Katana, Wolf Moon, Mike the Miner, and Weedus got one. Sorry if I butchered that. I think that's how you say it. Guys, that like button. Appreciate for hanging out. 184 people here. Only 99 likes. Let's get a couple more. I'd appreciate it.
Mike Novogratz, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
And shout out to Mike Novogratz and Mr. Anthony Pompliano over here on his channel. Guys, go check him out. I left the link in the description. All right, let's recap a few things, and then we're going to move on. Again, thank you so much for the gifted memberships. You're insane. Bitcoin, $70,612 or $645 now. We got Ethereum at $35.59. Everything's looking good. Look at BNB up 5.49%. $618. And again, Mr. Dan R, thank you so much for the Solana that you friggin' sent. You're insane. I really appreciate it. Means a lot. I'm getting my kid a trampoline. Her birthday's in like 5 days. It's gonna be 5 in 5 days. It's crazy how fast time flies. But he sent over 2 Solana because he said you were the one that told me to buy it when it was down at $19. And I did tell him to buy it down in, or I said to you guys it was a good buy at $19. I didn't give financial advice, but I said it was a good buy. It absolutely turned out to be a fantastic buy. Crazy. Thank you so much again. You didn't have to do that. I really appreciate it. Someone at the beginning of the chat was asking about ICP. Let's see. Where's ICP? Internet computer. I know a lot of people are into this. I have not got into it yet, to be honest. And this is why. This is why. That's why. All right. So look at this, right? So all-time high almost 3 years ago. $700. May 10th, 2021. So it came out living off the hype of the last bull run. And this, seeing a project like this, I don't care anything else about it. Seeing the fact that something starts up here and people, the devs, just capitalize on all of you guys losing money, and then it flatlines, gives me no confidence in that coin, to be honest. That's just me. I just stay away from it. Personal opinion. You guys do what you want. It could go, it could jump up, yeah, for sure. But like that's not cool, and on top of it, not cool. Infinite supply. It's pulling an Ethereum right here. Infinite supply, just print more. Can print more. Don't worry about it. When the coin pumps, we'll just print more and take some more money out of the market. No worries. Anyways, all right, let's see. Any last question? Mr. Financial Failure, $20 super chat, dude. Thank you so much. I ain't Dan Rich. I ain't a cool kid, but I appreciate you, fam. Dude, thank you so much. That means a lot. And again, Solar Miner, you're insane. Both of you, thank you so much. You guys are insane. Spoiling me on Friday. I appreciate it. All right, we're gonna get over and raid Miss Randy Hipper. I cannot raid you guys, so I'm going to send you a link right now in the chat. We're gonna go over and hang out with her for the rest of the morning. Let me send this over. Hold on one second. Let me drop it in the chat. I don't know why YouTube won't let me edit anything in the background, so I cannot raid her stream. So if you guys don't mind, jump over there, go visit her, smash that like button, obviously, before you guys end up taking off. Let me just see. Old Silk Road, you want to play that? All right, we'll do that. I'll leave you guys with this on the way out of here. You guys know I like to wrap it up on Friday with Old Silk Road. One second, because I didn't have it ready to go today. Let me see. All right, should be good. Anyways, guys, let me swap this over for you. I'm gonna leave you guys with this. Hopefully you guys have a safe and happy Friday. Also, Mr. Crypto KJ, thank you for the $2 super chat. I'm just straight up poor, so here's $2 quid. Dude, anything helps, and I appreciate it. You don't have to do that. Thank you so much, Mr. Crypto KJ. All right, guys, I'm gonna leave you with this. Have a safe and happy Friday. Enjoy your payday. Week's over. See you guys bright and early tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, maybe a bit earlier. We'll see. And until then, peace out.
I wanna hold on till I can't no more.
Have a safe and happy Friday. Peace, everybody. Let's go raid Miss Randy Hipper. Links in the chat. Peace out.
Eat shit, Gary.